Hello, everyone, for this episode of Second Innings Chronicles. And today we have Mr. Kunal Gupta, who's a leadership coach who works with clients globally across cultures, across countries. He works with middle and senior management professionals from Fortune 1000 companies. And he has transitioned from a career in consulting in the marketing space. And with this, I would love to welcome Kunal. Hi, Kunal.
Hi, Kavita.
How have you been?
I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah. So, this channel is called the Second Innings Chronicles, and I'm trying to, gather inputs or gather knowledge from people who have transitioned careers from something mainstream into something different, maybe after a few years of work or and I want to know of how the transition is because like how I'm seeing the trends today, there are many people who are coming into the coaching space, and yet quite a few do struggle to make a mark. And there is this whole once it's settled, the path looks great, but we don't know what happens in the transition. And so with that intention, I wanted to start this to understand the journeys of where people were and how they have transitioned into something new. Okay. So can you at the outset, could you just tell us how was your career before you become leadership coach, and what was your career trajectory like?
Yeah, so it was a very interesting trajectory, Kavita. Like, maybe I'll start from before I started working.
Mhm.
My father used to be a businessman. We were like a second generation business family. We had a couple of manufacturing units, pretty large ones, like more than 100, 200 people working under us. And I saw the ups and downs of my father
Mhm.
throughout his career journey and how sort of challenging that was. And I was doing a mechanical engineering at that time
Mhm.
when I had this realization that I don't want to join the family business and I want to just work in a 9 to 5 job and
Mhm.
take it easy. So that's how the decision to enter into a job market or a career which was driven by service was
Mhm.
came up for me. And yeah, one fine day I said I'm gonna sort of just see what I can try do. And um, after my college, I started applying here and there. I didn't have many contacts, and I never wanted to get into mechanical as a space. Like I
Mhm.
didn't want to go to manufacturing industries to work.
Mhm.
So I contacted a few friends, and he said, "Yeah, you can come to Gurgaon, and we have some openings, and you can try. It's going to be a night shift, Kunal, to start
Mhm.
with."
Okay.
Yeah, and the salary is not going to be great. It's at that time also like it's about 20 years ago, 23 years ago. You'll get like 7K or
Mhm.
so, right? And so it was an interesting time, and I said yes, like for sure. I mean, I'm game, and I want to start this, whatever it is.
Mhm.
So that was my like the first in face to face with a job sort of
Mhm.
career. Um, and I said goodbye to dad's business. He wound it up, winded it down in a couple of
Mhm.
years. And I started in a very simple role of operations and doing data collection for clients over the calls, over phones, internet, and so on. And the interesting part was that in that process, I think I managed to understand the entire skill that one learns in an MBA program
Okay.
on how you collect data, how you crunch data, how you analyze data, how you interact with clients,
Mhm.
how you manage expectations, how you put out strategies in place, and so on.
Mhm. Mhm.
For me, that ability came naturally to connect the dots and look at the big picture
Hmm.
from that place. So I spent about 18 years in this space. Like it was quite a ride. I
Hmm.
worked only across a couple of organizations, but switched a lot of roles within the organization, which
Hmm.
gave me a huge amount of exposure. So
Hmm.
one year I was leading sales, another year I was working on analytics, another year I was setting up a new product,
Hmm.
managing a team, working without a team after 15 years in the career, working in a like an IC, individual contributor. So yes, I think it was quite a ride, a lot of learning, working with clients in marquee clients, especially in India, like automotive space, Honda, Maruti, manufacturing,
Hmm.
or CPG would be Unilever, P&G, large banks, e-commerce giants, and working very closely with the board team, the CXOs of the organization to help them drive really big decisions of
Hmm.
making for their organization. So yeah, that was how it was before I became a coach. Quite an interesting run.
Hmm. And then what shifted?
So there were
So
a couple
18
of.
years is a long time, right? If you would have maybe stayed in that path, you could have still gone maybe into the um, higher echelon, right? Like how we say it. So what shifted like after 18 years?
I think something started shifting after 14. So
Hmm.
4 years is when what I took my time to continue to reflect and think about it, because there were multiple of things that were happening at the same time. One, I was growing very quickly, and my peers were like people with 20, 25, 30 years, like almost
Hmm.
30%,
Double.
40% more experience than me and age.
Hmm.
And I think I started questioning that what am I doing here and what are they doing here?
Hmm.
Is it the life going to be like this? So my midlife almost started happening in that process. Growth did not remain exciting anymore.
Hmm.
Credibility, recognition, money, fame. It was like, I would be quoted in media. I would give
Hmm.
interviews. Clients would call up, Kunal, what do we do? How do we make the decision? But it was just sort of drying up for me internally. I
Hmm.
was feeling very empty from a meaning perspective of what I was doing.
Hmm.
Because maybe I had seen all of it. I think I just had my share of um, highs and lows in
Hmm.
that space. So that was one of the biggest things, and I started sort of um, writing my visions, whatever I would think of, and I would say, this is what I'm going to do in 2020, this is what I'll do in 25. So I
Hmm.
created Excel for myself, saying that this is what I see myself doing every 5 years, and this is where I am going to be, where I'll be 40, 50, 60, 70, and so on. So that started to shift something internally, that pull and the push, both, that I don't want to do this anymore, whatever I'm doing, I've
Hmm.
had enough of it. That crystallized very strongly within me. So when I actually moved out of my last job role, I did not have anything on my hands. Like I did not
Oh.
even know what I'm going to do now next day. But I was like, I don't know how that courage and power came, that I was like, this is what I will no longer be doing.
Hmm.
I just can't do this another day. Even my boss was very surprised that what are you doing and why are you doing. So I took my own notice period of 2 3 months, whatever that was, kept
Hmm.
working with them on the side because they did not have a leader for the next 6 months. So
Hmm.
kept with them. But the push was very strong, Kavita, is what I'll say.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
So even though, if I can say that, even though the decision seems like very abrupt for people from outside, for you it was like a gradual. internal shifting that's happened, right?
Correct. Right. I think the
Yeah.
options were never there, but the
Hmm.
decision of this crystallizing within
Hmm.
me was very strong, and maybe the safety net helped. I was a very disciplined. I am a very disciplined investor. My first 7K also I remember making a saving out of it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I joke like I'm a Gupta, so maybe that's in the blood. So, I sort of had that safety net. I had a 5 year horizon that if I
Hmm.
don't have anything, I can go on with
For 5 years. Hmm.
5 years financially, and also my family was very supportive in this process.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
were very encouraging in terms of letting me do what I wanted to do,
Hmm.
because even though it was directly impacting them, we were moving cities on these
Hmm.
decisions. Things would be different. Maybe I was um, trimming down some of my expenses, some
Hmm.
of those foreign trips or vacations that I wanted, but they really avoided taking me on guilt trips
Hmm.
and supported me in those sort of decisions which seemed very very uncertain in those times. So maybe those things also were a big contributor helping me move out. But yes, I think the paycheck withdrawal is not easy.
Yeah.
um, the first or the second or the third, when nothing drops in your savings
Account.
account,
Yeah.
it is a big withdrawal, and you feel like, what am I doing?
Hmm.
I made a mistake. I should go back.
Hmm.
What am I going to do now? So that does hit very hard.
So, and like, uh, to ask you in the sense that, yeah, you would have shifted. So, was there like your coaching thing started immediately, or you didn't know what you were going to do ahead? You thought that I'll take time to figure it out, or how was that journey?
So I was getting coached when I was moving out of my last role. So was
Mm-hmm.
experiencing the whole space of mental health,
Mm-hmm.
and the how interventions support you in these journeys.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I myself had a coach during these times, sort of to help me cross these crossroads and
Mm-hmm.
make decisions faster, more effective, and see what was very emotional, what was objective, to see through things as well. And one thing that I realized was that I wanted to pursue something that I am finding meaning,
Mm-hmm.
and secondly I was very curious about, like, it it was a standard thing, like what is the energy giver and what is the energy taker.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing a bunch of things in those periods. I tried online e-commerce work. I tried teaching in a college. I tried working with an NGO, mentoring some students, developing courses for interview prep, career coaching, doing some short-term strategy assignments for clients, and also learning to be a coach. I never realized that
Mm-hmm.
it's going again back to school and sort of studying and all of those
Mm-hmm.
things. So over time, one of these options began to surface and started to become stronger and stronger within me, and others kept fading away because only on the index of interest and curiosity. So I was not very gung-ho about the others. It just did not feel like deep within that I should pursue them in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Or I significantly toned down my time investment into those spaces. So that was, I think, a way for me to make these decisions. And initial years was only about learning, that I just want to learn this. What is this, whatever I am? Because something I didn't share was that during these 18 years, I was studying on the sides. Like, I did my industrial engineering after my mechanical.
Mechanical. Mm-hmm.
Then I did my PG diploma in marketing.
Hmm.
Then I did a marketing research diploma on in analytics. Then I learned something into design thinking. Then I did something on user interface, UI, UX.
Hmm.
So I was like I studied, I would do my job, but I had like a definitely a once a month sort of a activity where I was learning something
Hmm.
very something very extreme, very different from what I knew. I would attend tech conferences, startup conferences, meet startup founders and see what they are thinking, how they are doing. So my learnability was always very high. I learned through experiences a lot. And in this process is how it was very easy for me to start learning coaching also, do
Hmm.
these certifications, understand how does psychology work. In fact, I'm studying now as well.
Yeah.
I'm pursuing MA in psychology now at this time. So it's something that comes very naturally to me. Started learning, and then also on the sides I started um, gaining experience. That part was something that I was very sure of. Like again, money was nowhere in my
Hmm.
uh, radar. The idea was I am learning something, I want to develop a skill.
Hmm.
So so I started coaching people left, right, center, who would ever come to me, who would ever want to take time with me. And thanks to my network, like a lot of people did reach out, but I did
Hmm.
not make those conversations about money at all. It was like, take my time, pay whatever you feel, no questions asked, right?
Hmm.
So that just transformed my skill. Word of mouth spread, more friends of friends came in, good referrals started to come in, and at the same time, um, I realized this very, very strongly, that learning is very different from um, doing it,
Doing it. Hmm.
right? So the action level experiential learning, when you are in the field and when you are with the clients, that process nobody else can teach. Like same thing for doctors, you study theory, but when you are in the operation theater, then it's a very different space altogether.
Yeah.
So that experience really helped, Kavita. I think it was not easy.
Hmm.
There were weeks and weeks where I would just not have any work,
Hmm.
and I was questioning those decisions. That did I make a mistake? What did I do?
Hmm.
But this enthusiasm with what I was dealing with and working with, I think that kept me going. Like I would be very interested in this space.
Like you also mentioned that you had started doing many more things along with this, and slowly this like coaching stayed back and the others fizzled out. So, and like you had also said earlier that you had a runway of around 5 years. So, but in your head, did you have like a plan B where you decided that I will give myself these many years to look for something which I really am passionate about? And if it doesn't work, then I'll go back. Had you done some of those calculations in your head?
Not very hard ones, but I think the way it was, that the 5 years that I gave to myself was like, I am going to experiment thoroughly on
Hmm.
different forms. And there were no clear goals, to be honest,
Hmm.
but they were like, I will look out for signals,
Hmm.
which are like, do I get a first client? Did I get a 10th client? Did I get
Hmm.
my 50th client? Did the client again come back after a month? So those are micro signals which kept telling me something is growing, you need to give it time. So probably after 2 or 3 years, this question did not come again,
Hmm.
that whether I want to give it time or whether I want to go back. But Yeah, I would say that if money had been drying up, clients were not coming in, the craft was not growing, then
Mm,
obviously I would have been definitely doing something else. But maybe not the whole corporate run for sure. I think I
mhm,
was very clear that I want to have more control over my time,
mm.
right? So that part was very clear to me.
Yeah. So in this whole period or in this whole transitional journey, what internal and external resources that you could, able to tap into when you were starting off, or even when those become maybe more important in the difficult times, like maybe those dry spells when no clients are there, you're not doing anything, and
Yeah.
when you're questioning. So what kept you going at that point of time?
I think family support was the number one thing for me, because in those times it would feel like, am I being too selfish?
Mm,
Is my family paying a price for my desires or my limitations? I don't know, whatever it is. And family support, I think, because they were very encouraging in this whole process, even though it was quite dull at times. That part was very helpful. My daughter would tell me, it's okay, Papa, I'm happy, whatever we are doing. My wife would talk to me about it. Um, she would be struggling on her own, feeling a bit frustrated because she changed her career. She quit her nice, prestigious research work at Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore.
mhm,
So there were those things that, that sort of were very heavy for me. But I think that helped me keep going, because they were encouraging and
yes,
they were
of
saying
course.
you should do
Mm,
what you want to, because if it all ends well, then it's great. And we see the potential in you. We know that you are one very committed to something. You are very you have a very strong perseverance,
mhm,
um, and you know how to figure out things. So
mm,
those were things that gave me a lot of boost, is what I'll say. So that's number one. And then I would say a huge network
mm,
that supported me. Like, I never knew that relationships can be so important. There was a huge network that fell off as I quit
mm,
my job, which was another big shock that came up. People who would call me every day, message me 3 times a day, talk to me so many times, and suddenly they were all like, blip, gone.
mm,
No
mm,
calls, no meetings, no discussions. So it was very lonely sometimes as well.
mm,
But then there was a huge network that was always there, my old friends, my old colleagues. A lot of communities also actively joined Kavita, is what I'll say.
mm,
So I started creating fresh networks as well. So I would go to these chapter meets in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore. I would meet new people. I would meet people who were on the same journey.
mm,
So that was like, I on that in that community I met people who were like 5 years ago where I was. There were people who were 10 years ago where I was. Then there were people who were 6 months ago
mm,
there where I was. So through them, I was able to see, oh, okay, like the struggle pays off,
mm,
right? So that kept me giving hope
mm,
that this is how I can be this guy, this guy, this guy. In 5 years' time, this is what's going to happen. In 3 years' time, this is going to happen. So it didn't remain very dark or uncertain. Maybe yeah, a few years here and there, or 6 months here and there. But I think that optimism was very strong, is what I'll say. There was a very different world.
mm,
Like, if I would have moved from strategy or consulting to marketing, it was very adjacent.
mm,
Nobody moves from this world to psychology or
mm.
coaching. It's chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
90% people in my community or now my industry are from HR function.
Correct.
And I did not have a lot of HR connects. So to find people who had similar journeys and then to look at their journey, learn from them, that was super, super helpful is the other thing that helped me.
Mm. So was being lonely the only challenge, or there was something that were like more on the face or more difficult for you that you had to face in the transitional period?
Hmm. For me, loneliness was a very big one
Mm,
because loneliness not in terms of that nobody to help,
mm,
but um, whether I'm doing this the right way or not.
mm,
Second, questioning, guessing my decisions. Um, it was very uncertain, like I said, like moving cities, coming to back to Agra, relocating, bringing all my stuff, changing schools, leaving job, um, deciding which courses to take up, what to learn, how to pitch myself, how to meet new clients. I had not done all of this in this context.
mm, mm,
And how is it going to pay off?
mm,
One of my mentors, like, not I wouldn't call him a mentor, but one of the teachers or trainers told me, coaches charge like 20, 30K per session.
mm,
I said, fine, that's how it's going to be. I went again and started quoting that price to people. I know that's how people charge, and I was so naive,
mm,
and I started doing that. And yeah, I mean, people were like they laughed at my face, and I was like, "Yeah, what are you asking, and what are you saying?"
mm,
So you see, like a lot of these learnings were coming by making mistakes,
mm,
sometimes trusting the wrong people and making
mm,
those mistakes, and then knowing how to trust the right set of people, who to trust, who to learn from, even if they were not like having malified intentions, but they everybody has a different perspective.
mm.
So just to be able to filter relevant advice was a big challenge, is what I'll say in this
Yeah.
process.
Yeah. And now, if you see, like, in general, in the social media and all that, when you see, uh, people advertising, like, you do this certification, you'll start earning 50 to 60K within 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever. And those definitely would trigger me, and that's where I started, because what is claimed and what actually happens in somebody who is really perseverant in this journey is very, very different from what is portrayed outside, that this is how you can just start, that the claims that are made. Okay, so that was one of my intentions before, when I started this whole, talking to people who have actually jumped to show what's the reality, like how, and every person has their journey, like, and yeah, and like in yours, that the very actively that you perceived, persevered with your learnings, joining communities, that is something very new that I've heard, very consciously that you did, and that's really helpful. uh, Now I would want to ask you is that, if, like, say today, somebody like you or somebody like me would come and ask you, okay, Kunal, that I am, I want to become like what you're doing right now. So what learnings will you be passing on to me to make my journey smoother?
Yeah, in fact, this comes a lot. So, yeah, thanks for asking that question. This comes a lot. A lot of my colleagues are now in this path as well. And like I am that guy in that chapter who would be on the 3 year or the fifth year
Mhm.
milestone, and these guys are starting off. So that question does come. And I would say that um, look at it from um, two or three lenses, is what I'll say. So look at it from two or three pillars or work
mm,
streams on how you need to grow. So one is education for sure is very important. You need
mm,
to take basic certifications. You need to have a certain threshold. You don't need to go crazy after. Like I know people who've done 20 certifications and they spend like more than 30 lakhs
yeah.
on just collecting those certifications. So you need to do that mindfully to see
Mm,
that what is relevant for you, what is naturally in the space, and what companies require. Some may be wrong bets, but still continue that academic learning for sure. It doesn't stop. You have to
mm,
keep on learning. You read books, you attend sessions, you take supervisions, you keep on doing that process. The second pillar is where you continue to grow the craft. So, which I
mm,
always say, like Sachin or Kohli still would do net practice,
yeah.
right? And Ronaldo would still come early morning for his soccer practices, right?
Mm,
You cannot let go of your craft. You have to
mm,
do the riyaz.
correct.
So the riyaz would happen in a way that you have to work with newer clients, old clients, in whatever way you keep on finding clients. Um, is as long as you think that you need to upskill on certain areas, because after a while nuances start coming in into your
Mm,
skill set, that you will feel like, okay, I think I can do better here, I can do better here, I want to train or upskill myself on this particular space or nuance more.
mm,
So then you get more depth in your work, then you are able to bring more impact through your work, and that will show up no matter what. That's the thing that will show up very quickly to clients. They will know who is a senior person who can work with them versus a person who maybe is very senior in age or experience but doesn't have the craft. That shows up very quickly for clients, even more, though they may be struggling for on a lot of issues. And then the third one is where I'll say is the business and the financial mindset. So keep that work stream actively on, where you are thinking like an entrepreneur or a solopreneur. You are actively advertising, you are connecting with people, looking at partnerships, applying like a fresher, two
mm,
platforms a month, following up with corporates, sending proposals. So a lot of people, what they make a mistake is that they would do all of this sequentially.
mm,
So they would first study a lot, then they would wait for the craft to come up, and then they would wait to sort of actively reach out.
mm,
But you have to look at it like a bronze, silver, gold, platinum version of all the three things. So today you are just a graduate, go for a graduate salary and just learn. Tomorrow you
mm,
become a postgraduate, you start claiming a postgraduate salary, and then you pitch yourself accordingly. Maybe a few years later you become a doctorate or a PhD. You again command that kind of a skill set, and then or a fee, or the way you want to work. And today you are just doing simple networking. 3 years later or 4 years later, I know some coaches look at speaker slots. They go to
mm,
big conferences. They pitch themselves in a way like they are somebody who can just charge 50K per session and then turn around stories for their clients and are working with CXOs. So you continue to upskill and then upsell
mm,
yourself in this. So those three pillars is what I'll say, to look at how you can keep on enriching each one of them. And communities is like I said, it comes very much in the second and the third, where you are working with them to learn the craft, and then you are working with them or learning from them to learn the business
mm,
as well.
mm.
Yeah.
So, um the vacuum that you felt when you left the corporate career, how is that, like what's happening there? Have you been able to understand what that was, that thing that you were looking for? Is it getting satisfied right now with this career?
I don't miss it at all. Like
Hmm.
for me, it is like I wish I could have taken this decision when I started thinking about it, which was the 14th year.
Hmm.
So I wish I started much earlier. Um, I would also add that um, I make 40% lesser money
Hmm.
than what I was
Hmm.
making. But it does not matter to me because multiple reasons. I don't attach my self worth to my paychecks, which
Hmm.
was very much the case for my family or for myself. And two, I realized that what am I going to do with this money if I don't have enough time
Hmm.
to spend it? So it was that's how it sort of worked out for me. And at the same time, even if I'm making 60% of what I was making,
Hmm.
I am only working 30% of the time of what I was working.
Yeah.
So it's still 2x payback for me,
Yeah.
because I'm able to spend more time with family, with other things that I want to pursue on so many fronts. There is so
Hmm.
much more fulfillment apart from just work, where otherwise work was like a 12-hour or 14-hour day for me, and I would just
Hmm.
merely sleep and go back to work, and day after day. So that's how I look at it.
Hmm. And in your leadership coaching or anything, or in this like avatar of yours, what are the learnings from your earlier workplaces that have been helpful for you in this journey? Is there been any cross learning, or how has it been?
From the previous experience, right?
Yeah, previous experience of work and all that.
This is also very interesting that when I was at, there was a point that I thought that the current work does not have any space for the previous work, and it felt
Mm.
like it was waste.
Mm-hmm.
They were just very two disjointed pieces for me,
Yeah.
and I could not bring them together. It was very off for me.
Mm.
I would often say that now I'm thinking like a consultant, and now I'm switching and thinking like a coach.
Mm.
So it was two different, I would say, mental, physical states for me.
Mm.
But I think over time, I realized the power of homogeneity, of how if
Mm.
they both come together,
Mm.
how it can work out for me. So that learning came up. Some of my friends actually told me that, Kunal, you cannot take away your past, so
Mm.
why not bring it into your present?
Mm.
So that really helped me. I mean, working, bringing those contexts, working with clients based on those experiences. So being able to relate to what they are going through,
Mm.
and yet being able to work with them in their context. So
Mm.
that becomes extremely enriching from a craft perspective. And I know people who come from not just corporate background, who've come from teaching backgrounds, who were housewives, or people who were businessmen, and they switched like into second innings or
Mhm.
work in a very different culture. Yeah, I would definitely say that nothing goes waste. There is just so much learning that we as human beings have. The
Yeah.
softer aspects of having empathy, knowledge, um, uh, ability to connect, communication, influence. There are so many others that you learn and which can just be applied in any and every role. that you play.
Yeah. And so, what is the next step in this journey now for you? But yeah, what do you think you'll be doing next to go to the next level?
I think the next level is embodiment for me,
Mm, mm,
where um, the skill or some of these things or the craft is still, I would say, externalized. It's still very cerebral.
mm,
So I want to have more embodiment of the craft. So I don't have to now step into something to be
mm,
someone, which still sometimes happens. So um, more depth, more experience of where I am, more equanimity with whatever I am going through. Um, yeah, so these are very personal, not like private, but very personal, very deep spaces where one wants his own connections to be established from a and that will automatically bring in growth to my craft, to my presence, to my clients in the work. Like for example, I still see, I would take maybe 10 sessions with a client, which now I work in 3 sessions,
mm,
right? So, and I know people who do the same in maybe half a session, right? So so that's the kind of depth that happens or comes
mm,
when you worked with yourself on the embodiment side. But yeah, matlab, I don't have any other goals like more money, or I want to have 20 people by the next 2 years. It
mm,
has to be a more solopreneur
mm,
journey where the oneness with the craft
mm,
is paying dividends to me as well as my clients,
mm,
how I see my growth. So, very less tangibility, I would say, but more on the inner self.
mm. What are the values that have they shifted from before to now, or have they remained the same, and that's why you have been able to take this jump or something? What are the values that are guiding you right now?
Hmm.
I somehow sense freedom is one of the values that you really strongly, you know, based on what you have shared till now.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I get a sense of. Anything else that is guiding you?
I think freedom is for sure one of the strong values, um, that that continues to be like my north star
Yeah.
on where I want to head. Mm, but also, meaning is another very big one for me, which has always guided me to um, to have a lot of relational depth in my
Mm,
work, in my spaces, to draw a lot of meaning in everything that I'm doing. So very difficult for me to open up a grocery store and then earn through it and just sell products.
mm,
So that adds another direction or another layer to what I want to do. Evolution of my value or my relationship with money has a huge role on the how I used to look at money maybe 10 years ago versus now how I look at money, because of experiencing it with my father's entrepreneurial stints. Um, Lots of money, then no money, lots of money, then no money. So like it was just lots of highs and lows.
mm,
So that sort of had a deep impact on the way I used to look at money earlier.
mm,
So I would say, yeah, those are the things that sort of continue to guide.
mm. And if I could ask you, like, what were the beliefs that really helped you stay on this new path? if I may say so. Like, what were the beliefs that made you certain that what I'm doing right now is what I want to do, or you know,
Meaning,
yeah.
meaning for sure,
Mm-hmm.
because it was very meaningful on what I was doing. Like it felt, like I said, relational depth, meaning that part was my, um, which told me like, yes, uh, it makes it, this whole struggle is all worthwhile. It just makes so much sense to keep on pursuing it because it puts a smile on someone's face, it
Mm-hmm.
takes away someone's pain, it it liberates someone from who he was or she was struggling for the last 15, 20 years. So that, I think that expression, that feeling was very magical to experience with
Mm-hmm.
clients for me. So that kept me going very strongly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's about what I wanted to ask. Would you want to share something which you think that I have missed out, I have not asked? Something that you feel needs to be shared? Have you seen maybe, newbies in the journey make those mistakes or make have those expectations or anything, whatever comes to your mind?
No, I think the way I would say is that everybody is acting from the resources or the abilities that they have or the
Yeah.
values that they all have.
Yeah.
So everybody's putting in their best effort or best foot forward. Everybody's trying really hard. Um, but I will say this, that um, go for a lot of dates before you decide to marry someone.
Yeah. True.
So this is something that I always follow.
Mm,
Like you can call it like a taster sessions, or you can say it as window shopping.
mm,
But don't jump on decisions. Um, at the same time, make them experiential bit by bit. A lot of people keep on ruminating about a step they have to take and then they don't do anything about it.
mm,
Make sure you don't take the full step, but you are taking baby steps in that direction so that you don't remain stuck in that same step. So the skill is to break down a big decision into a very tiny decision, because it involves a second party. You'll have to work with the vendor, with the provider, with this client to test out something. So you have to figure out a way how can you test
mm,
out something without going the whole 9 yards. So
mm.
that is definitely what I would add to that. So maybe, yeah, thanks for touching on that.
Yeah. Thank you, Kunal. This has been like a really, very insightful because I guess amongst all the interviews, yours is the first one who's a leadership coach, in working in the with companies in the corporates kind of setup. And yeah, and yet, with all this journey that you have and the nuances that you have shared, that becomes really meaningful to anybody who wants to, make that transition, because that's what is not shared, in uh, the advertisements or in the thing where it's just the starting and the outcome that's shared, but the journey, um, yeah, the journey that one has to go through of maybe loneliness, of self-doubt at certain points, and still to stick through it, to have that perseverance, and what drives that perseverance is also what you shared. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Kavita, for holding this space, for making me go down the memory lane and think about so many things that maybe I had not thought about. So yeah, it was very warm session today. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.